And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey's Researchers Reports. I'm your host, Kerry. With me, as always, producer, co-host of the report, Miss Daniela Iolo. How are you, dear?
Doing good. Thank you.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
We have our special guest this evening. You know, we had Bigfoot Anon, of course, Connor. We had him slated for a late show with me and Brad. And something happened, and I can't remember what it was, but we didn't get to do the show at all, and we had been booked after that. So we're good. It's good to finally get you on here, Connor. Welcome.
100%. Thank you so much. It's a long time coming, man. The stars have aligned. My heart is pumping. I'm exactly where I need to be. So thanks for having me, guys.
Oh no, pleasure is all ours for sure. And we'll get into some stuff here in just a minute. First, just remind everyone, try to keep it clean for us in the chat. We definitely do appreciate that very much. Kids are watching. And for the members and the new members, do you know who we have next, Daniela? For the members only?
No.
Okay.
Not 100%. So we'll announce it on Friday.
I'm going to be in South Florida for a week. So I'm thinking we'll just get Mark Zasky since I'll be there with him already. Because I'll be doing the shows from down there. But members, if you want to become a member of Bigfoot Odyssey and you do not have iOS, you should see a join button right there beside your subscribe button. If you do have iOS, you can go to the main Bigfoot Odyssey channel page, copy that link, paste it in your Safari, and type /join. And that should bring you to the member sign in. It's $2.99 a month. And we use that just to buy swag to give back to the members. So we don't keep any of that money. And we appreciate everyone that's joined so far. I think we're getting on up there over 300, I think.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Without any more ado, no more gilding the lily. Connor, do you do Bigfoot research? Is that what you do?
Yes, pretty much every day. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, and dream about Bigfoot, and I always try to raise awareness to people, and I interview people at my comic book shop, and then I do daily and weekly shows on Gypsy Road Horror Talk, and trying to dive into like urban legends and the roots of reality. And then I tune into your guys' show, How to Hunt, Dixie Cryptid, Sawdust Beast, all the time. I'm just trying to grab from everybody's spider web and then raise it through my loud vocal cords. I'm the long-haired hippie dude that is loudmouth, that lived out of my car, that is glad to pave the way for some of these people. And there's people like Stacy Brown and Donnie Miller that have become real life friends with me. And Tim T, he was just picked on for your next 168. He let me stay at his house for the weekend. Like, I'm the young grasshopper just trying to pull information from all these people that have spent my lifetime in the woods. I chopped it up with Cliff and Bobo, and then Robert Robinson, just all these people that have a plethora of knowledge, and it's all in the community. That's what I'm big on, is you look around to your peers for information, and then you dive into the ancient tablets and text and the cave carvings, and then just get the word on the street. And I've interviewed, police officers, land surveyors, and a lot of other big professionals that have said some strange things. So when people say there's no evidence, I lead them to newspaper articles. I've narrated over double-digit hours of giant bone excavations, the mound builders, the sun worshipers, the giant bones they found all over Ohio. I came from Ohio, land of 10,000 mounds, and then somehow it paved my way moving down to Florida, and I'm surrounded by them: the Chattahoochee Mounds, the Lake Jackson Mounds, the Letchworth Mounds, and they all align with the moon, the sun, the ley lines converge, and of course the dogman, the fae, and of course the Sasquatch, the ancient beings, the true earthlings. They are magnetized to these locations, and these obstacles are placed by the gatekeepers that we have to peek through. And modern academia has put up boundaries, so we really have to just take ourselves forward. And if you look at the mountain of evidence that you've given, and then other ones that Tim T has found hair and casted great prints, trail cam footage, incredible orbs, a ton of stuff that if you just showed the normal layman, they would at least be on the fence of this. There is a type of person out there beyond our understanding, echolocating, infrasound, mind speak, everything Kevin was talking about in the Apalachicola Forest, I've heard tenfold, and especially here in the Panhandle, because there are caves underneath our feet that lurk between Torreya State Park, Ocheesee Pond, all the way down the Apalachicola. And there's a reason the Spanish and the Native Americans all were perched up right along there. So, yeah, I'm just trying to blaze my way through history. And I love history and just memorabilia and finding artifacts and looking for shark teeth and just talking to people, man. And I just saw errata imagery. I got your package this morning, and Donnie Miller stopped by my house this morning. So the Bigfoot Odyssey family is in real life. Like, thank you so much, guys, for having this platform and creating this community. Like, I remember the early days of Bigfoot Odyssey. Like, I'm sorry if, I ever started any problems back in like 2015 on Facebook, those early days, I doubt I did, but back in the day, things are crazy, but I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much. And the fact that you're down in the South, Mississippi, the same swamps as me, basically. And then Daniela, you're overseas in the United Kingdom. I have a lot of family in Leeds and London. And then my aunt saw a banshee in Limerick, Ireland, like 80 years ago. So it's in my blood. It's my duty to just walk this walk and be this guy, talking about paranormal and supernatural, but really it's just normal life, wave and particle form. We're particle most of the time, but we can become wave in those true moments of being. And these fae and these other tree beings out there, I think they can tap into those frequencies a little bit more. So camouflage and transfer and portals and mind speak and infrasound and freezing time, it's all really just in our realm, but we've already been contaminated so much in our pineal gland.
I can't disagree with any of that because I don't really know anything. I really wish everyone shared your energy and enthusiasm about the whole thing. I think we'd probably be a lot, farther along. Oh, speaking of, there's Britt now. Connor rocks. And thanks everybody else for those super chats, super stickers. Thank y'all so much. So what's the genesis here, man? I mean, I know you said it's in your blood, but what kind of got you started here?
Yeah, I came from Ohio. So growing up fishing on Lake Erie, we always heard of South Bay Bessie, the Lake Erie Monster, the hockey team's named after it. So every time we went fishing, we were looking for a creature. And then Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and then just camping and fishing and going down to my grandparents' farm down by Moundsville, West Virginia, where there are so many newspaper articles about the giant bone excavations, and it's literally named after it. But then, so pretty much it was just the culture. It was just the culture. But then when I was 12 years old, I slept over at my buddy Alex's house. And a couple months before that, him and my buddy Jake actually saw a dogman creature cross the road in front of him. And I had them write their testimony for my first book because, of course, Crazy Connor can see things that other people can't see and feel things and see shadow creatures. But, getting my spider web of people around me, letters from my aunt, my cousin, my two best friends that saw a creature, my teachers, I kind of try to build a foundation of strangeness, and a lot of it correlates. But had them write it down that they saw this creature. They were driving with this fireman, and they thought it was a deer crossing the road. And it was early evening, so they saw it clear as day. And it went up this hill faster than the speed of light. And they always talked about it for about 2 months. And right in Alex's backyard, there's a bunch of caves, cliffs, and dens. And then there was this abandoned drive-in theater and this abandoned spring with the diving board. And I've heard so many now, we didn't know it was the dog man. We called it the Sleepy Hollow Wolf Man back in the day. But now everybody goes by dog man, but it's really just a lycanthrope. It could be a bloodhound. I really don't know if it was a man or just a huge black canine, but we're shooting pool in his basement, which is walkout glass. And after a while, we just feel this strange feeling. And they described it as rustling, but I didn't really hear anything. I kind of felt something. So it might have been infrasound. It might have just been, I don't know, instinct, the hair on the back of your neck. But we turn the lights off and we're peeking through one of the little windows and we see this hulking figure down in the den. And what makes us say it's a dog man is it looked like a man because it was giant, but it had like a wolf-like face, and couldn't really see it that well, but it was darker than the dark behind it. So it was black. It was pure black. And Alex and Jake said they saw its eyes glowing, but I really don't remember. I was just so like enthralled and frozen that it was real. You know, their stories were true. So I remember just diving into the steps and waiting a while. And after a few hours, we tried, you know, going back to sleep and making it work, but we ended up sleeping upstairs, all the way upstairs. And we talked to his parents about it in the morning, and his mom, who's really by the book, said that she used to hear man-like hoot calls all the time down in that den. And I've like reached out to a few people who live around there and tried to get information. I think it's called Sleepy Hollow for a reason. And we've been lost back there many times. And I wish I knew about what the structures looked like back in the day, just because I'm sure they're all out there. And whenever I get back to Ohio, I'm going to march those same grounds that I saw and hopefully go down in those caves, because that's what I'm all about. I go down in caves. I just took Donnie Miller down caves. I found a weird caveman print down this one cave recently, and I actually casted it. So I'm all about just diving into the weird stuff. But then over the years, I really just opened my doors of perception. And as I got older, I started camping and, of course, experimenting with different potions and on blood moon eclipses and lunar eclipses. Crazy things happen. So we would, you know, lock ourselves literally in the woods and make things happen. And a lot did. And then I lived out of my car from Ohio to Florida, and joined a punk rock musical band and joined the app Couchsurfing. It's kind of like Facebook for travelers, that you leave a message of why you want to stay at someone's house, and it's totally free. And usually you just bring, you know, goods and your services. And I always wanted to work at the pub and live above the pub. And then I got to work with the band and live with the band, and then join the musical, and I was the stage manager. And it was a weird one. It was a weird punk rock band final show, but it had witches and the Holy Grail and potions, so it was still up my alley. And I love performance. Like, I've always been a fan of theater. I was just in a movie called Zillafoot that just came out. It's half Godzilla and half Bigfoot, and I basically play a cryptid research officer, so basically myself. And I go on down in the bunker, and I warn the military of impending doom, and they just usher me out. Oh man, but it's a real fun ride, and literally cryptids are my life, and it really consumes me in some ways. And you know, some people think I'm gone off the deep end on some conspiracies, but it's all based on, you know, the Bible and tablets and uncensored research. And I can't hold back. I want to be the one who's pushing the agenda forward and pressuring the ones who are trying to do cover-ups. You know, the Ocheesee Pond Wildman, I don't know how no one knows that story. You know, the cap is getting shook up, but in the 1800s in the Panhandle, one was captured in the Ocheesee Pond. Then it was sent to the governor. The governor said, no way, and sent to Chattahoochee Hospital. And that's like really known for experimentation. Gary Oldman was in a movie about it. And Andrew Jackson had a prison camp for Native Americans there. But after 3 years, it actually died. But it was on the front page of the New York Times, and they have a whole file on it. So when people say, we need a body, we need bones, like, no, guys, it's already been done. And there's already been 100 other stories we've heard of, you know, Fort Lewis out in Washington. I know Steve just announced one today. And my friend Ninja Ronnie, part of my crew, he was stationed there. So I always like to bring people to my team too. I have Ninja Ronnie, who was stationed at Fort Lewis and then went overseas, heard about the Kandahar Giant, and talking to other soldiers that heard other stories of these red-haired beasts in the caves. It makes you think, like, what are these wars really about? And man, what's going on in Antarctica and Mammoth Caves and Land Between the Lakes? There's tons of crazy stuff. That there's military troops in the Smoky Mountains. Why? You know, Dennis Martin. That's one you know tip why. But
well, look,
yeah.
let me put the brakes on you right quick, because you're not taking a breath. I can't try to elbow in like Shaq.
Yeah.
I can tell you're excited about all this, but you're a little all over the place. Let's try to get it in the fairway a little bit.
For sure.
That's all. I mean, we're just going from one thing to the next, and we're not. There's no we're not getting any discussion in here. So of all the other things that are out there, who knows what's out there? Bigfoot is ours, and we take it seriously here. And if we can kind of keep it in that fairway as much as possible. There are some questions I want to ask you about some of the things that you said, though. When you talk about infrasound, what's your take on maybe EMF instead of infrasound? Because we hear infrasound all the time. What do you think about EMF?
Yes, I definitely think they shoot out EMFs and other type of vibrations. Like, I honestly think they have the power to contact us in our dreams. And I've heard other people say when you see them in a picture, they know that out there. And I know those are crazy far out theories, but pictures have an essence, and mirrors show you reflection, and there's time travel inside of that. And I know it's far out, but normal natural life is far out. Like, we create worlds in our dreams, and then we forget about it the second we wake up. And heaven is a real place. And the fact that every day is a true fairy tale, it's not as supernatural as we think. I definitely think they're shooting infrasound, EMF. They can contact us on positive and negative ways. I've heard them heal people and then kill people through just vibrations and making them sick and messing up their organs, giving them cancer. So I think the possibilities are endless, and it's all just energy and protons and electrons and neutrons, and they are the masters of it. Whenever you're in their grid, they can control everything, the bugs, the birds. I think they can literally use the eyes of most things that are living inside of it, and they probably contact the trees. And you've guys seen the machines that they hook up to plants, and it makes beautiful frequencies. I think they're in touch with the chorus of the forest, and that's what all the animated, movies of Bigfoot kind of show. Smallfoot, Missing Link, Son of Bigfoot, Abominable. They're all coming out for a reason. And I read something that the Simpsons were gonna predict that Sasquatch was coming out in 2021, and who knows? Like, it's already been proven to the ones that really do know. But yes, Kerry, I think they shoot many different frequencies at us.
Well, it's not as far out there as some may think. If you can make a natural connection, EMF, the evidence for it, to me, is there. Draining your batteries, whether it's them doing it or not, or whether it's these places, and they're just drawn to the same places where these high levels of EMF. But, these beings don't wear shoes, apparently. They're connected to the earth. They're in touch with the earth. So who knows? If they do this. But to me, the symptoms that people talk about having are all side effects of EMF. Infrasound might explain some of it, but EMF explains it all, to me anyway. So I just 100%. Wonder, and we've gotten that. We've taken EMF meters into the woods, middle of the woods, myself, Mark Zaski, Melanie, and we're getting 300 milligauss spikes out in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, you can go to your breaker box and get 2 or 3, just, some ambient EMF from there. But to get 300 out in the middle of nowhere is just, a spike, and then just go back down to 0. So maybe it is them doing that. I don't know. So do you have any kind of plans? You said you wrote a book. Well, let's push your book. So what you got?
Yeah, I've written 3 books so far, guys. The first one is Erie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden. It documents my journey from Lake Erie down to the Florida swamps. And the final chapter is the Garden of Eden Trail. And that's right here, right by Torreya State Park, where Stacy Brown filmed the 9-footer. Donnie Miller just had a face-to-face encounter about 3 weeks ago with one there. But the 27 of the 28 trees in the Bible are at that park. And then gopher wood, which Noah used to build the ark, the lightest and strongest wood in the world. It's also known as longleaf torreya. One of the only places it grows in the whole world is right there. So it's pretty sacred ground. I'm belief in there's many Edens, there's many Atlantises, or at least equals of it. And there's so much sunken history. And you can look up mud floods and mud fossils. This world is so much bigger than they say. But this is like my diary. And then this is my research project, Big Brother Bigfoot. And I'd like to just read the summary on the back real quick. for people because it documents my journey from Ohio down to Florida, across the country to California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, El Paso, Louisiana. I stopped in Honey Island Swamp and got a weird picture of a carcass and then a tree peaker. Heard many crazy stories. I wish I knew at the time, but I'm only 4 hours from there now, and that's literally a drive. So I'm definitely planning it soon. And are you driving to South Florida as well?
I'm in West Texas right now. So it'll be a 22-hour drive for me. I'm going to go home, obviously, first and prepare and see the wife for at least a day and then go on down to Zaskey's and finish the 168.
Well, if you want to time it up, and Torreya State Park is right off the highway and you're going to go right past it, if you're feeling, I know it's going to be 12 hours into your trip or something at that point, but hey, if you're open that day, I'm game. And maybe Donnie Miller will come too. And I have a nice little crew here, but that would be awesome. And yeah, the Honey Island Swamp is mentioned here, but Big Brother Bigfoot will be an adventure of in-depth research on our missing link in the forest. Many people go to church, others flock street-side shrines, but on this journey, we will be in dense terrain searching for our connection to the Creator. With statues across the world, ancient tribal legends, and piles of modern evidence, the true mystery is how the topic is still a mystery. Together, we will travel from the peninsula to the mountains and from the swamp to the desert, searching for Sasquatch, werewolves, and whatever else is hiding in the cracks of Earth. Things are about to get hairy. But that one's a really fun one. And I've been reading chapters out in the woods, and I've been, gathering them up, and I'm going to start putting them out in order so people can hopefully, read the book and go along with me because it will be fun. And then my third book, Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner. This one talks about how we don't have to really watch scary movies and do graphic novels because scary stuff will find you. And it's a collection of, haunted houses and then backyard stories that I've collected and encountered over my years. And then my fourth book, I just submitted it for publication. It's called The Panhandle Pirates, and it's about my panhandle crew looking for treasure, battling cryptids and kraken. So it's a really cool story, and I try to stay active. And I talk 1,000,000 miles per hour, so some people, my video might not, it might not be for you audioly, but if you like text, I put a lot of time and soul into it. And I've always been a writer. I was a writer for my school newspaper and then in college, and I was always involved in film. So it's always just been a huge passion of mine. So this is a perfect way to combine my loves. And I even bring the guitar and the ocarina, and I love your sports references when you make them. So I'm trying to be like a Renaissance man of all this. And I try to find the magic in all of it. The curse of Cleveland sports. How did LeBron James break the curse? Why did Kobe Bryant die the day after LeBron passed him on the top 10? I don't know. I think these curses are a little closer than we think. We spell words, we write in cursive, and we hide our tooth for the tooth fairy. We've always been surrounded by this magic. So, of course, people like us, we embrace it. But a lot of people, they have the wool over their eyes, and I just can hope the best for them. And this world will give them the answers because it always does. It shapes things how they need to be shaped as long as you don't fight what needs to be done.
Well, the world is always a better place for people that feel like they can understand it. And anything that falls outside of their purview or outside of their paradigm, they don't want to know about it for the most part. I probably wouldn't have wanted to know. Dogman, I hoped that one was not true. But, I mean, it's kind of panning out, I think. Just depending on who you talk to, it does seem to be. But you were always a writer. My mother made me read. I read. I mean, the big ones: Mark Twain, Faulkner. I read. She handed me Chaucer when I was 14 years old. So that's I was always read. So I'd like to read your books. Absolutely. Where can we find them?
They are available on Amazon. If you search my name, Connor Flynn, CONNOR FLYNN, and you can search, Erie Swamps, but it's spelled with one E. And I've already had a lot of people like, hey, Erie has two E's. I'm like, hey, Lake Erie, guys, read the first chapter. But yeah, Yeah, I appreciate you one an interest on them, and I will definitely send you a package in the mail, you know, hand signed with my own little special message for the Mississippi monsters over there, because I had a lot of fun in Mississippi at the Pascagoula River and then Honey Island Swamp in Louisiana. And literally, I always say it, like, and Stacey Brown mentioned it too. I interviewed him on Horror Talk last night, but he always says, they come down from Canada, they go down to the Smoky Mountains, they make their way. Of course, you know, everyone's already where they can, but some do move. Canada, Smoky Mountains, come down to the Florida skunk apes, and then that whole swamp, Louisiana, even Alabama. A lot of people don't know Alabama is like the Amazon of America. There are so many waterways, and there's crazy monsters there. Hugging Molly. She's a giant creature that will hug you and screech after dark. Sorry, I'm getting on a crazy tangent, but it all does connect. It really does, especially with the Native American lore. And the white thing, that's just a Yeti. And a lot of people are like, oh, is the Yeti only white? No, guys, they come in all different colors. There was one really cool story of an orangutan lady in Ocala National Forest that saved this little girl with a compound fracture and carried her to camp. You know, the counselors were dumbfounded, speechless. I love stories like that too, because not all missing 401 is Bigfoot, but there are some stories that kind of lead me that way. But Sasquatch has a soul, man. He was created by our creator, and some of them have been done wrong by our people, our kind. But some of them are watchers and guardians, and I think they could have took over and taken a lot of us out on our hikes. And they are just curious, and some are a little bit friendly, some are a little standoffish, and you can't blame a mother for protecting her grounds. And I've had big boulders thrown behind me on the path over at Torreya State Park, so I think we kind of know where they have a den. I've recorded on a GoPro one wading through a creek. You could just hear the sound, and that one was really chilling. But it's crazy how encounter to encounter, day to day, the vibe changes. Sometimes I'm terrified out there. Sometimes I'm all right for it. You know, I'm soaking it in. When we went to the Green Swamp with Tim the Tracker, one lady got attacked by 30 hornets after she made a couple negative comments out there. And, you know, not bashing her, but even nature just is a catalyst. So whatever you're going to do, if you're going to worry, it's going to just rain down on you. If you're going to be positive, you're going to find what you want. If you're going to be negative, a couple things are just going to keep you in check. And then Tim recorded some crazy baby cries that nobody heard with their ears, but then audio recorded. And it's really cool. I'd love to take it on like a spectrogram, but he actually recorded a couple pictures off his back camera of big black masses behind trees. He did a great breakdown. Tim the Tracker in Florida, and he's going to be a part of the next 168. I suggest everybody that wants to know something from an outdoors expert, check it out. And Kerry and Daniela definitely recruited a good one in that one. And again, one more shout out, Tippa TV is part of your guys' crew as well. They
going to help
awesome.
us film.
And that's awesome to have paranormal extremists that are taking their time to learn about Bigfoot being behind the screen. Like that's what it takes. And those are the kind of filmmakers I love, the guerrilla people that are out there, you know, boots in the ground, part of the production. And it's a special thing, definitely.
Well, the whole point of 168 is to kind of step the game up a little bit. You know, at least that's what we tried to do. And when I go down, I'm gonna get it finished and put it out. I feel like our whole reputation is on the line here with this thing, so I have to get it done. And traveling down there to Florida with everything that Mark Zasky has collected, the good stuff, the last 6 years, we're gonna put a lot of that stuff in there. There's 15. I think I got 15 stories from Lynn from 1890 to 1909, back when they used to put them in the newspaper. You know, they're all short stories, and from that area all the way down to the Keys. So they're just, if people look, if they would just look into it, of course there has to be that interest, but if they would just look into it, there's a ton of anecdotal evidence anyway that these beings are out there. And then once you have it in your mind, in your head, and you actually get out in the woods and pay attention, you might get to experience some kind of interaction. At least that's what we want people to do, is just to be aware, whether you believe any of it or not. Just consider it when you're out there, because there are some negative really bad drawbacks to running into one of these things when you're just not aware.
100%. A lot of people that I've talked to, they have to go to therapy. You know, some people have had to sell their houses. That's why I get kind of animosity when people say there's no evidence, because I'm like, you could talk to a mother right now that could shut you up and humble you back to whatever, grade school. That's why we have to be there for one another, because the news isn't there, and you guys are definitely raising awareness. And that's what I'm trying to do too, is just at least give them that chance of knowing, because then it's a little bit softer if they do. But there's loved ones and young ones out there that are fishing and going hunting every season. This should be part of the warning and part of the hunting class. They should start mentioning, if you encounter a Sasquatch, remain calm, back up, try to keep your thoughts and feelings pure. But of course that would make people laugh in some ways. But again, if you have a stern, hard guy that's been in the woods his whole life that had an encounter, I think it would be valuable for him to teach the youth. And that's why you guys have a big wide range of viewers overseas, young ones, old ones that don't get to go into woods anymore. It's special, and awareness and the community, it all comes together.
Well, one step at a time. I think you're talking about step 612 and we're on step 3 still. I think we need to get more people paying attention to the subjects. And the only way to do that seriously, I believe, is to make it serious and to keep it serious. And all these other things, these ancillary paranormal, if you want to call them, strange, bizarre things that are outside, that natural fairway, it turns people off for the most part. They hear it and they just say, oh, well, that's just a bunch of crap. So I think keeping it, not that we shouldn't talk about those things, because people do experience those things. But as far as bringing other people in, it just doesn't, it's not seeming to work for us with all those other things. So to me, that's why I try to keep it square down to the natural, just because I don't care what it is. I don't care what they do. I really don't care that much about Bigfoot. What I care about, what we care about here, are the people that run into them and what happens to them. The after effects of it can be real damaging. And what happens when these things get held in, especially for a long period of time, is they find their way out, usually in unhealthy ways. And to me, that is a real problem. And it's a real shame that whoever is assisting and keeping all of this, under wraps, it really angers me. It angered me for a long time. It really didn't hit me for a couple of years that this is what's going on. It has to be. There has to be some help here in keeping these things under wraps. So who it is, what it is, I don't know. But I say, for us anyway, keeping it in that natural fairway is going to get people at least paying more attention. And then all the other stuff that comes along with it, people have to grow into these things. I had to. I didn't even look at it for the first year. And I mean, that was on me. I was wrong for turning away from it. But we look at all of it now. But as far as if I'm going to present it to someone, I'm going to try to show them the physical stuff first, just at least try to hook them. You have a show?
Yeah, I'm the co-host of Horror Talk through Gypsy Road. It's Eric and Dr. Wu. They're based out of Seattle, and they can see Mount Rainier out of their backyard. It's just so crazy, and a dream come true of mine, because I'm in the Florida swamps, crossing over with the energy of Rainier, and I hear Sasquatch stories and weird UFO tales of there all the time. But yeah, it's every Tuesday and Thursday, and we talk about scary movies and urban legends. And then we just interviewed Stacy Brown last night, and we had Long Island Bigfoot on, Donnie Miller. So of course, I'm the Bigfoot bridge to it all. I would love to have you guys on down the line, 100%. That would be a huge honor. But yeah, sure. It's Horror Talk, and we love talking about scary movies. And I'm always trying to find the roots to reality, because, these guys are creative in Hollywood and stuff, but they're grabbing it from real life. Jack and the Beanstalk.
Spell that for us, Connor, so people don't think you're saying something nasty.
Yeah, sorry about that. HORROR, horror, like scary. Horror Talk. And if you search Horror Talk Jeepers Creepers, you would be able to find one of our episodes. And I bring that one up because it was really cool. I love Jeepers Creepers. Terrible director, shun him. But the fourth one is the cleansed. So we're going to get that story. But is he a draconian Mothman, or is he a Bigfoot every 23 years? But it was filmed in Central Florida. And a couple months ago, I promised, I said, I'm going to check out these filming locations. It's on my bucket list. I've driven too close to it before. And then I went back during the Florida Bigfoot conference with my buddy Tristan and Cameron from Hidden Relief on the way to Tim T's. And we hit a bunch of other spots. And I love filming locations and history and just tying it all together. And, you know, I love that. I'm definitely part of the serious motion to it, but I am fun and I am loud. But, you know, ask anybody who is in the woods with me, you know, Mogollon Monster, Marie Dumont, Florida Lone Wolf. I'm very serious when it comes to outside and research. I'm not talking my head off, you know. And I'm going to be at the Squatch Out in Tennessee with Manimal Research and Old Bear's Den and Squatchy Cowboy. And I'm looking so forward to that. And, you know, I know a couple of them are a little nervous because I'm a loudmouth, but guys, I'm going to be right around the fire listening to everybody. I cannot wait. You know, the Tennessee mountains, just all the stories I've been hearing. I'm so excited.
Probably relay. Excuse me, I got this thing in my throat. It's killing me. Excuse me 1 second. I'm sure you could probably relay some really strange stories. Why don't you hit us with one of your more bizarre stories you've heard?
Yeah, I'll tell you guys a couple of them. Over at the Ocheesee Pond, one of my friends, he's an older fella. He's a retired radio guy that works. Used to work for a bunch of radios, and he retired, but he makes his own hearing aid, and he lives right in the Ocheesee Swamp where there's tons of sightings, and he can turn the frequency and listen to these creatures breathe out there in the forest. And then he's also found an island that had 2 mummified Indians on there. And I think there's a real close connection between Native Americans and the Sasquatch people. Those are really cool, you know, close by stories. I've had a couple people that have sent me letters from family and friends. I always have a letters from family and friends chapter in all my books, just to, you know, again, bring that spider web of everybody. And I love sharing stories, you know, just like all those other channels that, you know, just straight share stories. It really just opens up, and it's awareness and it's entertainment. But I read one today earlier about this guy that he was abducted by 6 small grays, and then a tall draconian was like overlooking him and testing on him, and he actually has a scar still. And that actually relates to one of Donnie Miller's stories, because he was abducted as a young man, and he has this metal piece in his arm that now I think all these interactions and encounters he's had might be lurked to that. It's some kind of beacon. I don't know if it's like, you know, attracting them, or they could just see thermal, kind of like Predator, and, you know, be like, hey, that guy's a little different. Let's check him out and let's make contact. But I think there's all the connections, especially because when you live down here in the Florida swamps, you grow up with it. And, you know, I'm new to it still, and I've heard so many stories. So I can't even imagine the people that grew up here. But again, some people just turn it off and they can't even accept it because it's just lore. But all of it has roots, and especially when the Native American tribes literally have it documented, you have to take some merit to it.
Sure. Yeah, witnesses. Daniela, you got something?
You've got your own YouTube channel as well, haven't you? Bigfoot Anon.
Yes.
And your, well, I think it'd be good if you could get up to 1,000, because then you can live stream from your phone then, can't you?
I appreciate it, Daniela, because that's a goal of mine. I want to hit 1,000 because it opens some doors, and I want to take people live with me. And, you know, just I want people that care about this subject to be along with my journey, because literally I'm dedicated to this. I talk to people first and foremost. Like I'm not scared to say I love Bigfoot. Have you ever had strange encounters? Because at the end of the day, it's all about awareness. And if they have no clue, and then they now have a clue, job done in me. I don't care if I look like the crazy guy and they're like making fun of me the next 2 days, because at least the story will get back, and maybe their uncle will be like, oh man, let me tell you about this. It's the things that an open mind can just open up. It's amazing, man. I was living out of my car and all my needs were met in abundance. When you're a hobo, you're a home body. No one can tell you, you're trespassing. I'm not saying trespass, but in this world, I feel at home, and I want everybody to feel at home. Don't lose your disconnection with Mother Earth. Get some moonlight, get some sunlight, drink hot water in the shower. That's what they were doing in India when the Native American, or not the Native Americans, the Native Indians, who knows, the Native Indians might have moved over, but oh man, the ape people, the Vanara people were giving hot water to the human beings to give them enlightenment. So all I'm trying to do is just tap into these ancient ways. And I love talking to Native Americans, and then my Australian friends about the bunny yip and the yowie. And there's so many stories that just correlate. And we're all one under the sky, under the dome, under the moon, under the sun, the two eyes of God. I'm big on the creator, and whoever's religion, there's a creator. This is grand. We're not an accident. Seashells, pine cones, our brain, the galaxies, it all lines up. The Fibonacci spiral, it's special.
I've just put your link in the chat anyway, and it's also, the links are in the description for the book, for your TikTok, for your Facebook group. Tell us about your Facebook. It's not a group, it's a page, isn't it? A group?
Yes, it's just a Facebook page, and I just post all my videos on there, because a lot of my videos on my YouTube really don't get my fun videos like this, all the ones I've been on. I've been on tons of Spotify shows. I love talking to people and chatting it up, because I think it lives forever. As long as the power's on, this 3 energy, this is the Holy Trinity. We could never recreate this. Hurricane Fred is coming, and so I got my energy. You guys have your real life and your energy. It can never be recreated. So I just try to share all my interviews and other journeys on there. But yeah, Bigfoot Anonymous on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, but then Bigfoot Anon on YouTube. But TikTok's really fun. A lot of my stuff is like short and to the point. I just stepped up my gear game, so I'm looking to make some documentaries. I'm actually in the middle of making a short film for a Tallahassee Film Festival with my buddy Jack McClellan. He made a documentary with the Bridges family, that famous family that had that handprint on their glass from the Finding Bigfoot. But we just linked together, of course, magically through my comic book shop, and we're filming a movie about the Ocheesee Pond Wild Man. And I think that the researcher ends up kind of becoming the wild man. Hate to spoil it, but it's about to be a wild transformation story. And oh man, so I'm trying to tackle it in all ways. And some are dead serious. I'm talking to the best researchers in life, and some I'm, filming movies out here and then having a jolly old time. But it all starts with manifesting it days before. We meditate when we go out in the forest. We do collective breathing and hums, because I look at it as energy. And if I go with people, you can't be disconnected. You can't all be different blobs of energy. You have to go out there as a team, and it's togetherness. And everybody will tell you when you go through something challenging in the forest, it's stronger bond than anything. And I've been stranded kayaking and hiking and lost and dehydrated. And I have bad heat exhaustion and get migraines. So things get sideways real quick. So I have to count on, good people. And I've limited my, far out independent research, but I still do a lot of urban exploring and go into tunnels and caves and abandoned homes and try to find the fairies and gremlins. But yeah, I have a giant respect for Bigfoot. And I definitely don't try to, do knocks and disrespectful calls. I've done that in the past, and I think I've been hit with infrasound and massive headaches after. So I try to balance it. I'm not totally against it, but when I'm in a vulnerable spot that I know there's a lot between me and the car, I don't test waters. I'm very about just observing the vibrations, because, encounters come in many different forms, and not everything's an encounter either, but nature is always speaking to you, and there's always more going on than your eyes and ears pick up. And, deja vu and just instinct, guys. We're walking electric balls, man. That energy's never created nor destroyed. We're so sacred that I want to fight people that put us down, to just blobs. And we're so much more than just a carcass. Our soul is what is powered by everything. And our soul is older than Earth. So we really have to figure out the answers between that. And I think the answer lies with Sasquatch, the bridge between our creator and us. It's the other type of human hybrid out in the forest that can adapt to nature and manipulate nature in a positive way. And I think there's stuff that we can learn from them. And there are people out there that interact with them daily and have this advanced knowledge, but there is a division too. But those stories have been done, 50 years with Sasquatch, where Bigfoot, Jazz Carter. And then there's a couple other swamp ones down in Louisiana swamp, old grandma feeding one since he was young, and then it bringing its family when it was older. There's great stories out there, and I just love.
Look, man, look. I know you're excited, but you're not taking a breath. I can't have a discussion with you if you don't stop and pause in there somewhere. You're just going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And I know you're excited about all of this stuff. Obviously, you are, but just. If you can just slow it down just a little bit so we can kind of get into some of this stuff. I wanted to ask you, you said there's connection. I mean, so what do you think the connection is? I mean, Sasquatch, you think they're part human, or you think that they're the archetype, the source code maybe for us?
Yeah, I definitely think they are the true earthlings of this world. They're the true beings. I think they outdate us, and they are definitely human hybrids. Some of the suspicious research or controversial research always comes back human hybrid, and they try to say it's contaminated. And I've seen pictures of what it looks like under the microscope, and the hair is translucent, and it takes shape and takes color of what's behind it. So they do have some kind of adaptability to Earth. And yes, I think they're human hybrid. There's stories of Zana out in Russia that they reproduced with her. And then she, had 2 children, dipped them in a creek, and then the first 2 died. But then they, one grew up, and they have pictures of him and have his skull. These are type of human hybrids because they mate with humans 100%.
Kavit was his name. And I think she had 4 kids. He was the last one to die. I think he died in like 63, and they went and excavated him in 73 or 72. And you see pictures of that skull. They said it was an extreme variation of the human norm.
Yeah.
And if
Did
you
I
look
do
at
that
it,
by accident? Did I put something up by accident then?
no, I did that. He was talking about the hair, and he was
Sorry.
going so fast that we didn't get to.
Yeah,
get
no.
through it. So I was like, I
on
have
the-
pictures of that. That's the translucent hair.
I was on the
This is from
thing.
Zasky. Yeah.
That's incredible. And that shows it, man. And I want every researcher, check the barbed wire, guys. These creatures are sometimes lazy. You'll find stuff. Whenever there's activity, they're there, guys, and they're giant creatures. So they will shed a little bit and get caught in places. But yeah, that hair is incredible. It looks just like Tim T's hair.
Yeah, well, if you watch the documentary that they did, and I think it's on Amazon, you find it on Amazon Prime. It's called A Hidden Reality. What this is, my throat's killing me. They get it under a microscope and they shine a light on it, and it just comes alive. I mean, it's just like every color under the rainbow is like reflected off of it, and it's really bizarre, strange. It kind of opens your mind up to some more ideas of how these creatures are able to stay away from us and able to camouflage themselves so easily. I mean, I've got my own ideas about them and game cams, and why we just don't catch them on game cameras, just because the hair doesn't reflect. It dissipates and absorbs. And I mean, why do we see anything? Because light reflects off of it. And if light doesn't reflect off of it, you're not going to see it. It's going to be like a void, or you're just not going to notice it. So to me, you got to step in front of that game cam. That light's got to hit and bounce back before it triggers. So I think these guys walk in front of game cams all the time. They just don't trigger them. Just from seeing what they did. And plus something that Zasky told us. One of the ones he's probably seen them 20 times. A lot of it is fleeting glimpses. But he said he and Melanie were walking out one day. They're 100 yards from getting out. And if you saw this place, you'd never in a million years think that there was anything like this out there. I mean, it's across the street from a golf course. And they're walking out and they hear something. They both stop. She's ahead of him. They both stop and turn and look. And he's looking, and he said the wind's not blowing, but it looked like this one bush area looked like the wind was blowing, and he's trying to focus in on it. It's only about 40 feet away, like across the canal. And he said he finally found its eyes. And he said when he caught its eyes, he saw the eyes get bigger and it moved. But he said the hair, it was just perfect camouflage. It was just, he said, the most incredible. He's seen a couple of these things face to face, within 10 feet. And one that he said looked like a zombie, a dead guy, just pale gray skin. He said just real scary stuff. And you can imagine the people that don't know any better running into something like that and what that does to you. I mean,
it would end
it can, absolutely. So that's the only reason we do this. It's just so people will wake up, pay attention to what could be out there. But yeah, to get off on my own little tangent here, but when you said the thing about the hair, I was like, oh, we got a picture of that. And then you were already 10 things behind. So,
I'm sorry about that, but you're onto something 1,000,000%. You are with the trail cams, and I've seen evidence of it. Literally, Tim T, he has evidence of like an orb-like or like a cloaked creature, literally the size of a Sasquatch. So it would be just what you just described, that it's there, but it just didn't reflect the light, and their hair is just alpha, and their DNA is angel. I think that it could cure any problem that we had down here. And of course, the military and the government and anybody, the science labs have the DNA, so they're looking at it, and it's incredible. And of course, you guys already know it's human female and unknown male, and all the ancestry of the female is always different. It's like Australian, Native American, African women, so they came from all around the world, and there's many different adaptations of it. But there are strange creatures out there, like the Mayaca skunk ape. Like that thing had sharp teeth. I don't think it was like Patty, but there are, we're all different.
What do you think about those DNA that come back, the mitochondrial come back 8 to 15,000 years old, and that's all? I mean, that wouldn't make this some relic hominid. This makes it an incipient species, don't you think?
You're right. You're right.
They're all the same. That's not very long. I mean, 15,000 years, as far as the geology goes, it's not very long.
It wouldn't put it back millions of years. You're right about that. That would make me think that maybe they were some kind of experiment and just kind of created 15,000 years ago. But I don't know. A lot can happen within tens of thousands of years. But that's very true. It's not millions of years old, like kind of how I'm saying, the ancient ones, the true beings. But maybe there's different variations of them. And then you throw in the dogman and the mothman. I would love to see a DNA on them. There's a lot of strange stuff out there.
What do you think it's going to take for us to get really good evidence?
Oh man, I think it's going to take a team that has a body somehow that is not going to be able to get intercepted, and that many people won't be able. I'm saying how it would be accepted to mainstream. Sorry, it wasn't
just
really
something
evident.
convincing. That's
just because DNA is getting, captured all the time. I think one's going to have to either get hit by a car and then picked up by some team. And I think this has already been done. There's a lot of rumors in Mount St. Helens, up in Canada, hunters killing them and then being taken somewhere before the military can. So there are, these freedom fighting groups out there. I really don't think academia is going to really go along with it. They might, just bust the cap open, kind of with like the UFOs. They give us like half truths, like, oh, there is strange creatures out there, but we won't ever really get the answers. Like, is it a human hybrid? Is it Jesus Christ? Isn't Saint Christopher? I don't know. All I can do is just keep pushing mine, and I hope everybody else keeps pushing. Awareness, that's everything. We don't have to prove it. We just have to make everybody aware of it, so that way we can just avoid accidents, because real life people are struggling, suffering, and dying and going missing out here. And again, not all of them are evil, but you have to know that there's wild creatures out there that are more dangerous than bear and boar.
Sure. And the way these creatures apparently look, especially down in Florida, I thought for a minute, there's no, apparently I haven't seen one that has hair on its face. I hear people talk about it all the time. They got hair on their face. Kevin Saunders was in Florida and saw one, and they had hair on their face. But all the images that Zasky captured, that I captured down there, there's no hair on the face. They're very human looking, but kind of caveman looking. I got thinking, well, you know, what if Ponce de Leon found the Fountain of Youth, and this is what you look like after 500 years? You know,
that is amazing. Dr. Wu said that earlier today, and that is so true, because they were hunting for the Garden of Eden and the Ponce de Leon, Fountain of Youth, and the Tree of Life, and all that magical stuff. 100%. A lot of the Mormons, you know, they talk about Joseph Smith finding Cain in the 1800s, and Cain was the marked one, you know, banished, immortal, but he's marked, he has covered in hair, and he was as tall as Joseph Smith on a horse. So even, you know, the good book of the Mormon say this. That doesn't make me a Mormon, but that should make every Mormon a Bigfoot person, or at least aware of that. And there's tons of stories of giants and titans and leviathans and dragons that it surrounds us. But for some reason, there's been a shift and we think it's all fiction. I just want to tell people, oh, it's stranger than fiction, guys. Middle Earth below us, and heaven is real. I believe heaven is a physical place right above us. And, you know, I'm in no rush to get there, but I believe everybody with a good spirit will go there. And Dottie Miller said, good. One day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth. So all the people we've ever crossed paths with, the good people we need to see again, we will see again. And
amen.
It's powerful. Thank you, man. Amen.
Yeah, for sure. That's I mean, it's all very profound, and you sound like you're very, very pointed in your beliefs, and I can respect that. Absolutely. I think everyone here should be able to. Hey, shout out again to all those super stickers. We appreciate that. We usually do a few more shout outs, but Connor's high energy.
I know a lot of
It's
people.
Great, man. I think it's great. This is a lot more than I expected, actually. Yeah, I didn't know. I really didn't know what to expect. I watched a little bit on Mark Newbill's channel,
yes,
and I didn't get time to finish all of it. And I was like, well, at least we know this is going to be interesting, if nothing else. And if nothing, it definitely has been interesting, definitely entertaining. I always say all the time, we're not here to entertain. I think you've done that for us here today. So absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate it.
And I hope people buy your books, man. I want to buy your books. I don't want you to just send me anything. I want to pay for your books for sure, but you're going to have to sign them.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Next time we cross paths. I wish I made it up to Gatlinburg, but I went to the Florida Bigfoot conference, and then I have the one in Tennessee coming up in September, just to squatch out. So I had to pick and choose, but yes, we will definitely cross paths, and I'll go wait on the side of the highway over there on I-10. So when you drive by, I'll sign it real quick. We could be on our way, you know. I could show you Terraria State Park if we got 50 minutes, you know, but I know you got a documentary to make and tons of work ahead of you, just because you got tons scheduled, and so do I, man. I try to stay so busy and keep this ball rolling. It's momentum, and in the times of confusion and hiding, I'm trying to inspire and be outside and get that vitamin C, and, you know, be that loudmouth fun guy who does take this very serious and researches. I stay up night and day, and I'm constantly trying to figure this out. My comic book store is called Retro to New. It's in the Florida Panhandle, and we host Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. We sell my books. We collect artwork. We have a bunch of Creature from the Black Lagoon stuff, because Creature from the Black Lagoon was filmed in Wakulla Springs, like within, 25 minutes from here. So it's very cool that, the giant serpents and the Gill Man even has some ties to here. But it's definitely on my goal to be a speaker at a conference here soon. And I want to keep the ball rolling. I want to follow Stacey Brown's path and get some gigs in some of these goofy Bigfoot movies and be that wild guy in the woods, just because that is me. I love biking, hiking, and kayaking. And if anybody's ever in the area, definitely hit me up. And I love chatting with people and hearing their stories. And, I'm working on about 3 other books. They're all part of like different short stories of encounters and experiments and examinations I've done all around the world. And it's very cool. And I've, went on boats into the Bermuda Triangle and went deep sea fishing into the Gulf, looking for these Pensacola sea serpents. So it really, I love Bigfoot, and that's definitely my passion. And that's the closest bridge, you know. But my big tag is, if Bigfoot's real, then imagine what else is. And I think there's thousands of continents based on Admiral Byrd's diary. You know, mammoths are still alive. There's jungles they're not telling us about. Jurassic Park's real. You know, it gets really fun. You know, and I appreciate you guys.
Mr. Lighthouse wants to know if you've ever seen a Bigfoot.
Yes, I definitely have seen Bigfoot and other strange beings that I think they're cloaked Bigfoot, but they're more like shadow creatures that you can just see out of the corner of your eye. But yes, over on the Bellamy Bridge Trail, we saw something like probably 40 yards away, and then I really didn't believe my eyes and just tried to play it cool. And we actually recorded a hoot on GoPro on that. And again, everybody says it's an owl. I think they're raven mockers, guys. They could perfectly replicate these calls. And that was a warning. And then we had a tree go down right after us. And after the tree went down, it all kind of came together. But other times the dogman is first and foremost, but a lot of it is shadows and vibes with me. I try to, use the hunter's method of look where they're not expecting me to look and try to just play it cool. I've never had a really face-to-face encounter like Kerry's or Donnie Miller's, but they have been very close to me. I have videos that Long Island Bigfoot and other people have sent me screenshots of these creatures, and some of them are, a little bit cloaked and a little weird, but others, it's like there was definitely a being there, and I was feeling it for some reason. I've had my sixth sense go off many times. But the sea serpents is what I really was looking for as a kid. And I've definitely seen some strange things out on Lake Erie, just giant humps, and then having my rod be broken over the years multiple times by either sturgeon or giant bull shark that are in there. But I'm big on Bessie and the Ohio grassman. But yes, I've seen Sasquatch. I've seen shadow creatures. I think I've been chased by fairies. And the dogman encounter really changed my life when I was 12.
I'm sorry, man. It's kind of struck me funny. I'm not laughing at you. You said you were chased by fairies. It just kind of hit me funny. But hey, look, man, we're at the end of our hour. We really appreciate you coming on here again. Go check Connor out on YouTube, Bigfoot Anonymous, and your books. All the links are in the description if you guys check these things out. Connor, message me because I might be able to catch you on my way back from Florida.
Yes, that'd be a dream come true, Kerry. And I definitely look forward to the future. Hey, man, it's awesome meeting real life people in this community. And I say, we're looking for these creatures, but you find real people and real friends. And I'm big on the vibes, man. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to sharing many memories with all the viewers and everything. Bigfoot Anon, Connor Flynn. It won't be the last time you hear my name. Hopefully all in good merit, but keep an eye out for me, guys. I'm loud, I'm proud, but I'm going to be respectful in the forest, and I have nothing more than respect for Native Americans and these creatures. So I just want to honor them as much as I can and tell their stories. And I'm going to do that until I can't no more.
Well, Connor, I'm sure you've got a ton more that you could talk to us about, and we'll just have to get you back when we got longer than an hour for sure. Maybe we'll get you on, me and Brad, one night and just turn you loose. Me and Brad can just turn our screens off and just go to the bathroom, go make a sandwich, come back, and you'll still be going.
That would be an honor. And if you ever want to have Central Florida Bigfoot Matt on here, me and him, we met in real life too. Great friend. He is awesome. And
Matt sits in for me all the time.
Yes, I've seen him on here. So you have great taste, man. And you've put together a great team. Daniela, thank you for everything you do. She's doing great over there at Hidden Existence. Thank you for the morning tours on the beach. You guys don't understand. It's a getaway. I know you guys understand it, but it's so much. It's so much for some people. And that's all I want to be, is an outlet. I just want to inspire a bunch of people to do the same stuff I'm doing. Tell the cool, scary stories about your neighborhoods, guys, and just tell your friends, tell your family about Sasquatch and awareness, and love one another, because we're electric. And when we're loving, we're as big as the house. When we're scared and fearful, we're blue, we're cold. So just be red, be orange, be big, be you.
There you go, man. And do something for me. Take a deep breath every now and then. Try to enjoy the things around you and not skip from one thing to the next so much. Do that.
I will. Good
All right, brother.
advice. I've definitely heard it from many wise people, and I'm working on it.
I'm not
working
wise
on it.
for sure. Daniela, great show as always. Connor, thanks again for showing up, man. We'll message me so I can
I will.
shoot you my number.
I
All
will.
right. Thanks everybody. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.